Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me an interesting person as a guest. And the reason I say this is because he's got quite the story. And a big reason that I wanted to have him on is because of his leadership background. So John Morgan Edwards is a retired Army Command Sergeant Major with a background in leadership and human performance. And he is a consulting and coaching company founder, the father of 3 grown boys, a musician, which, by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about that too, an adventurer, a storyteller, genuine and authentic relationship builder, and ultimately a people person. So, John, welcome to the show.
Oh, Jenny, thanks so much. What a great introduction too, by the way. That's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. When we met a couple weeks ago, after talking for a little bit and our friend Michelle, our mutual friend Michelle introduced us, and my audience is not going to be shocked when I say, I know Michelle from BNI. She heard that I wanted amazing guests on the podcast. And she said, have you met John Edwards? And I said, you mean the psychic? Which I know you've probably heard before.
Every now and then.
Now and then. I know, I'm kind of showing my age with saying that, but still, I was like, no, I haven't. She goes, you need to meet John Edwards. And I said, oh, okay. And we had an amazing conversation. It was so freaking good. And I was like, okay, we have to get you on the show. So let's dig into that story a little bit there about having your background being an Army commander, Sergeant Major. How'd you get from there to being a coach?
Okay, yeah. Well, that's a great question too, and it was accidentally on purpose, Jenny. So that's it's just funny how things work out and happen. And I was starting to separate from the military, and they were really great and gave me some time to transition. And during that time, I was like, man, I do what a lot of veterans and a lot of former military people do. We go, what do we do next? I know that I have something. I know that I have these skills that we've developed. I know that I have experiences. I was like, man, I really just want to share these, with the public and private sector. Yeah. So I started going and offering the service that we had really done the whole time to go help train and mentor and guide organizations and companies. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a consultant. And that's not out of the ordinary. There's a lot of former military members that do that. And we had success very early on. And also my background is recruiting. So I have the ability to walk in, and I do believe in building relationships. I understand the importance of that. We had a great commander back in the day, and our motto was building relationships, creating opportunities. And that's always stuck with me, and I don't think that he made that one up, but he borrowed it and implemented it with us. And so what I found, Jenny, is when we would go and do a consulting event or, whatever it was that they were wanting, when you show up authentically and genuinely, and you're able to convey the message and you connect with people, you do a good job, and they go, hey, this is a real person. You show up and you care. When we would leave, people would stay connected with us and still want to hear more and more. And after less than a year, Jenny, I realized people were really wanting mentorship, and they were asking for it. And I wasn't the guy showing up going, hey, let me mentor you, let me guide you. But they were like, hey, you have something that we need, or that I individually or my group wants, and we want to be better at it. Can you help us with that? And so that is how it kind of manifested into coaching. And absolutely love it. Have done it my whole life. The Army is great. They teach you how to do it at, like almost day one. They put you in
Yeah.
charge of some. And so, it just, again, I was purposefully networking and engaging to do consulting, and then accidentally got into coaching, and it's kind of blown up. And, so here we are now. Love it. Have some great clients like you're talking about. What makes a great podcast is bringing awesome people on. What makes a great coach is having great clients and people who want to be better. They're hungry, and they show up, and it's just been really great. So kind of
Yeah.
a long answer, Jenny, but
No,
that's,
that's
that's how we got
good.
there.
No, and I think that's so good. And ultimately, just so you know, I already figured out what the title of this episode is. It's building relationships, creating opportunities, because that's
Nice.
exactly what we do in network marketing. When
Yeah.
you're doing it right, especially on the recruiting slash sponsoring side. And I know I've talked to my audience, the badass crew, about the difference between, for me, what I consider recruiting versus sponsoring in the world of network marketing and direct sales and MLM, is that when you bring someone, and this is the analogy I give, when you bring someone in, when you're recruiting for the military, they recruit you in, they help get you to the next stop, which is oftentimes boot camp or taking the ASVAB or whatever the next step is, right? But then they
Yeah.
pass you off to the next person, right? But in network marketing, there is no next person. That's the big difference. You're not passing them off to anyone else. If you bring them in, they're your responsibility, unless your leader takes on leadership and says, you know what, if you don't want to be the leader, that's okay. You bring me the people, I'll put them under you. I will lead you all. That's
Yeah.
okay, right? Because not everybody wants to or has the leadership skills yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
big time.
okay. This is already good. But yeah, building relationships, creating opportunities, because here's the thing. When Michelle first talked about you and I having a conversation to me, I was like, okay, sure, not knowing what I was getting into. But by the end of it, we had built a relationship, the
That's right.
beginnings of the foundations of a relationship. So let's start with that piece then, the building relationships. When you walk into an office, or when you had someone walk into the Army recruiting office, how did you start that relationship building process? What are some of the key factors that came in that have worked both for the Army and in the world of business?
Um, Well, so that's a great question first. And there's going to be an ongoing theme. So it's always being genuine and like my authentic self. Like
Hmm.
that's the thing. And I always wanted to be that person. And, and let's take the world of recruiting or the world of sales or the world of anything. Someone is always trying to get something, right? Like and that's just like we are trying to get something
Yep.
out of this. And so how do you show up and, disarm someone or let them know like, hey, I'm not just here for this one-sided thing. I'm here to also give you something. And that was the great part about being in the military is we were servants first. And our
Yeah.
leaders would make sure that we were going and we were giving and we were serving and we were being present in our community. And, so it was just easy when it was time to ask for something because we were always giving. We were
Right.
supposed to be always giving. And so, that was the thing. It's just showing up being your genuine, authentic self, whether it was going to a school to try to, come and tell about the Army and the Army National Guard and what we did, or it was going to, a place where you needed to get some documents or whatever it is to make something happen. And here's the thing, when you're real and they know you're real and genuine,
Hmm.
people will do things for you. They will want to do something for you. And so I think learning that really early on and also needing that, like myself, like I don't want to show up and just ask. It's also something we do as coaches that I do. I'm like, hey, it's okay to ask. Let me help empower you because most of our clients are servants. They have a service that helps people they try to give themselves away. And isn't that most of us? Like we give too much and don't ask enough. So
Yes.
we help people ask, and that was also a tough one for me, Jenny, like going from how do I make a living or how do I make money off of something that I've given away for free so long, like coaching and mentoring and
Hmm.
training. That was a transition and
Yeah.
learning and then helping
So
others.
so let's go down that road then, right? Because where did that start to shift for you, the realization of, okay, I used to be paid
Mhm.
by the army to do these things, and now how do I go ask someone to pay me
Yeah.
for these things? What
Yeah. Great.
what was that mindset transition like for you?
So it kind of happened, again, maybe a little bit out of necessity,
Hmm.
not a money necessity, but in time, because I was getting not overwhelmed, but my bandwidth was getting full
Hmm.
because we were doing these consulting gigs and then continuing to mentor and to continue to offer advice after the fact, which I loved, and it's like, hey, I'm getting to pour myself into people who are wanting to be better. They're wanting to, and whatever it could have been leadership. It could have been how to track KPIs or how to do systems or how to increase their sales.
Yeah.
And it got to a point, I reached out to now I'll say one of my mentors, and I was like, "Hey, I'm getting really I'm getting really overwhelmed a little bit with what I'm doing. I love this." And he's like, "Yeah, you're not just consulting, you're coaching." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I know." And he's like, "You can't keep doing that for free." And I was like, "Okay, well, how do I?" And this is so funny, and it was, those little aha moments, and it is so simple, but it was profound at the moment. I said, "Yeah, but how do I do that? How do I do something that I've been doing for free?" And he goes, "You give them an invoice and you charge their card." And I was like, "Wow." And it's so funny because I use that, you know, it and you still have to hold for some people it's so nonchalant, it's so
Mhm.
transactional, it's no big deal. But for me, that was like a big deal.
Mm.
And so we also help our clients with that too. Like, you know, you just have to be one step ahead of somebody to help them in a big way. And and then what do people pay for? Things that are of a value to them that they need
Mm.
or they want or they desire. And especially when you can make a big impact and they see it. And so again, kind of a long answer, but that's how the transition happened. And then you also have to build the confidence like in yourself, knowing like, okay, I am making this difference and it is of this value. And, you know, that's a big thing. That's one of the things we do in business coaching too, is helping people through that transition. And and that's pretty exciting stuff. So that's kind of how we got into that and got over that. And it's still hard every single day. Like I still have to pick and choose like, okay, am I going to volunteer this or am I going to, I really want to work with this client. Uh,
Hmm.
how are we going to make this work? So, you know, and the answer to that for me, Jenny, is just to, you used this earlier, like go with your gut.
Hmm.
If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't feel right, take a pause. And, it's just neat how things, if you're organically, we help teach marketing. I've been in marketing for 20 plus years. And if you do it organically and you do it through relationship, then good things are going to happen, even when you don't expect them or plan them to happen. So you just stay
Mm.
consistent with that.
Yeah. No, I love that. And okay, so now somebody has transitioned into, okay, how do I get paid for this, whatever this may be, right? The business piece. But especially in network marketing, the place where a lot of the money is, and not that all network marketers are driven by money, but money is a necessity of
Right.
life,
Yeah.
right? At least I don't know about anybody else in the world, but it helps to be able to pay for the house and the food and the gas to fill the car to go places, right?
Have to have it. That's right.
right? Absolutely. It's a part of life. And so in network marketing, the place where people can really leverage that relationship, that the creating of opportunities is in the place of leadership. So how did you help move people in the army, or even now with the business owners that you're working with now, into places of leadership? Where are the what are the first leadership steps that they are taking that where they're seeing big, you know, shifts in their business?
Yeah. Okay. So, man, kind of two-part answer for that one. One, I think it starts right at the beginning, going back to that initial relationship and building trust, right?
Okay.
And building trust. And then whatever it is that their challenge is that's keeping them from the next step. I would say 80%, minimum 70%, 80% of the time, no matter what a client has come to us with. They can say, yeah, we need to help. We need help with our human capital. We need help with leadership or human capital solutions or management, or even if they're very analytical and they're like, we need help with our processes or whatever it is, we end up spending 70 to 80% of the time working on some type of mentality. And that's mindset type stuff. And whether it's because someone is afraid of taking a step or afraid of making a mistake. And so it really is, if you're going to say, hey, John, what's the one thing that helps your clients the most, that I'm the most proud of? And I didn't know this was what it was going to be. This is after looking back and reflecting on 3 years of doing it. It's very interesting. It's the same thing. I'm super proud of being able to be there for other people my entire career, is helping them get past whatever barrier it is that they have and get them into the arena, whatever the arena is, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like, hey, let me start this or let me do this. And it could be someone who's never done whatever it is they're wanting to do before, or it could be a big company who's making multi-million dollars and they want to be more effective and more efficient and make more. It's simply this. Unfortunately, Nike already got my slogan of just do it. And that's really it. It's like, okay, step one is start and do
Yeah.
it and begin. But really, it's not step one. It's uncover the challenges, uncover the motivator, right? Like, why do you want to do this? What's the need, right? And
Hmm.
let's fuel that fire right there. Let's find out what the challenges are. Let's minimize those, and
Yeah.
then let's just go right through them or right around them, over them, whatever it is. And so that, and again, kind of a long answer, but we really apply that
Yeah.
mentality and mindset to just anything we're going to do. Uh, it doesn't mean like go headlong into the wind without any preparation, but it's like, hey, let's just start, and and then we're gonna fortify and we're going to refine as we go, but at least and do it confidently because we built the trust.
Yeah.
And also have them feel like, hey, I have someone there shoulder to shoulder with me. Whether we are, a, across countries or across state lines, it doesn't matter. We can be right here. Another cool thing we do is basically each one of our clients, any of our prospects, basically they have a 24/7 hotline, direct line to me. And early on, people told me like, you're crazy for that, man. Like you're going to get way overwhelmed.
Hmm.
And honestly, we don't. Like everybody's a professional. Only a couple of times have I gotten a phone call at midnight on a Sunday. And it was a midnight on Sunday kind of thing. And it like right now I'm getting a little choked up thinking about it. Like I'm so glad that I could be in that position to where somebody who needed something at midnight on a Sunday, they could call us and we had that kind of relationship, you
Yeah.
know. So
No, that makes perfect sense because, I've been coaching professionally, full time for, at the time of this recording, now 7 years. And my clients know how to get a hold of me. They have my personal cell phone number. And I tell them, when you have a question, call. Like the only time I ask them not to do it is if I'm on vacation. Cause I'm like, look, y'all, I have to unplug and refill my cup, because very rarely in 7 years has there been something that has been a coaching emergency. I'm not a doctor. Like there's literally no one's life is on the line for my business. So my clients are very respectful of that, but they also do know that they can reach out. And I think that in and of itself, the fact that they know that they can
Yeah.
is enough to give them confidence or enough for them to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to try this because I know Jenny's going to ask me this and this and that, right. So, but I think going back to what you were saying about the how to bolster and the just do it, I think, which was address the mindset, right? What are the fears that people are having around that first step, right? Because if someone isn't just doing it, it's their head game holding them back every time, right?
Right.
So with
And that's
you,
universal.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say it doesn't matter if it's network marketing or other business. It really is, even in sports, the head game is really where it all starts. And this is something, I interestingly enough, we just talked about with Noah St. John on an interview I did with him, that inner game versus the outer game, right? The inner game is what's in the head, and the outer game is what you do, right? So I think that is obviously the universe is wanting my audience to hear that or me to hear it. Who knows? Okay, both. And I laugh about that because, yeah, the cool thing about having the podcast is I get to talk to people like you and have my own aha moments and have my own like, oh, that's interesting, And then the rest of the world who listens also gets to hear these things and pull from it what they will from this. So I'm not sure where to go with that. Like my brain is trying to like at the same time go in three different directions. So welcome to ADHD here. So
No, I'm with you.
that's good to hear. So one of the things, okay, let's jump back to the bio, right? So one of the things we talked about in your introduction is music. So you are a musician. That's a part of who you are. And interestingly, you mentioned to me during our conversation, this has become actually a very interesting client funnel for you.
Yeah, that's right. It's so cool. And I'll share a little vulnerability on kind of how, first of all, music is so big, and
Yeah.
I actually have some partners and some clients who are actually, they've done studies, and they've written their doctoral white papers on music and the effects of creating something, and so just listening to music, first of all, is powerful and
Yes.
has high impacts on your mind. So also be careful what kind of music. If you listen to sad music, you're gonna be sad. Yeah. And there's a time
Y'all
and a
can't
place.
see me. I'm like pointing like, yes,
Yeah.
you are so on point because this is why I have a power playlist, y'all.
Yeah.
It's my empowerment list of songs that
Mhm.
get me pumped, and it's my version of affirmations.
Yeah. And it's not just like you don't just like feel it. It's not, it's like, oh, I like this song, so it makes me feel this way. There's actually something taking place, inside your body chemically. And, you know, so not to go too deep into that, I also believe in it in healing. And we went through a big tragedy in my family not too long ago, 2021. Lost my wife tragically, suddenly, wife, mother of three boys. And this was really a neat thing that happened. We've all always loved music and kind of dabbled playing guitar and singing. And so I bought some equipment one day and kept it in the living room, and we just kept adding to it. And we would just sit around, whether it was singing karaoke with our friends and them, just we were always playing music. And I didn't realize it at the time, but probably a year into it, was writing songs and just singing. And it was between that and physical fitness and exercise, and I always recommend being active physically. It doesn't matter if you are a top athlete or someone who has never been physically active. It's huge. And when you combine those two things together,
Mhm.
massive power of healing. And, if you're battling demons, those are the two places that I'm going to have anybody start, like be active, whether it's go outside and go for a walk, listen to some music, sing, even if you don't think you can carry a tune, you know.
Hmm.
So that started happening and wrote some songs, let some people hear them, and they're like, wow, John, that's pretty decent. And then started sharing it with people. I've got a cousin that plays music full time professionally, and he got me up on stage one day. The place booked me. I wasn't even trying. I was not. I was like, I'm not gonna. This is what I do in my, in my bedroom closet, So, and it's been amazing, and it brings people together.
Yeah.
My family, friends from all over that I hadn't seen in 10 years would come to a show that I would just promote on Facebook. No big deal. Just be like, hey, I'm going to be at this little hole in the wall. And, just how cool was it? And then when you talk and you connect, take a break and go talk to people that are saying, hey, that's so good. About 50% of my new business comes from just being out when people are, they're relaxing, they're hanging
Hmm.
out. So that's been neat. And Jenny, people pay me to go sing and play music too. That's crazy. I never expected that to happen. So we're just
Yeah.
going with it, and it's been great, uh, and a good way to spend a pretty decent hobby.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think I think the important piece to pull from that is it's something that refills your cup,
yeah,
right? And I know that a lot of the people who have met me from the podcast have, some of my listeners who've reached out, have said, how do I balance my network marketing business, being a mom, being a wife, working a part-time or full-time job, and trying to take care of myself and be a friend and like all the different hats that people are wearing, and it's not just women, it's men listening too, be a dad, be a husband, be, those kinds of
mm,
things. So I think that the important piece that I pull from that personally is do the thing that refills your cup in a genuine way.
that's
Right.
right.
So
Yeah,
you're playing songs that mean something to you, whether you're writing your own or doing any cover versions of stuff, I'm assuming. Um, and that's what's pulling people in is that authenticity coming through once again and allows you to be able to pour from the saucer, not from the cup.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's been really cool, and that's exactly it. And people can tell, like instantly. You can tell. That's why I love connecting. One of my
Yeah.
goals is to try to connect with three new people each day,
Yeah.
and and people can tell when you're real. And I don't mean like the real deal. I just mean like real and
Yeah.
genuine. They're like, yeah, this is a person that whatever they're talking about, I want to buy into.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
I
music thing. It's been cool.
I love that. And if it's okay with you, I also want to share the song that you shared with me because I thought it was a really good song. I think it's a really good song, not just in the past. No, it's a great song. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to share that with the audience. We'll put the link in the show notes because
Hey,
if it's okay with you, it's a
let's do it.
connection piece, right?
Love it. Yeah,
Awesome. So we'll
absolutely.
make sure that one of John's originals is in the show notes for those of you who are listening for the very first time. To get to the show notes, all you have to do is grab your phone, as long as you're not driving, click on today's episode, and go ahead and you will see under John's picture, there will be a link to one of his original songs. But in addition to that, you also have another gift for our listeners, which is what?
Yeah. So Jenny, any of your listeners who hear this and want to reach out and just hear more, I'm offering a free coaching session, not just a connection, but a coaching. Like if you've got an issue or something you're working through, then yeah, reach out and we'll get on it and we'll spend, 45 minutes. We usually go a little long, so 45 minutes to an hour and try to get down to the bottom of it and just see where things go. So
Yeah.
what do you
Well,
think?
I think that's fantastic. So, if you are listening right now, Badass Crew and new listeners, and thinking that sounds like something you would like to do, we do have the link to be able to book yourself onto John's calendar right in the show notes. So, again, grab your phone as long as you're not driving, click on today's episode, scroll underneath John's picture, and you'll see episode notes or show notes, depends on which app you're looking at. They call it different things, but look for the text under his picture. How about that? You'll be able to find the link to book yourself onto John's calendar. John, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Jenny, you're awesome. Some might say that you're kind of a badass, actually. That's thanks so much for having me. Yeah, it's been great.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that this was helpful for you as well, because I think it's really important for people to see that business is business is business. I don't care how you get paid. Right.
That's right.
So, that's one of the interesting conversations you and I got to have, was the network marketing versus, and I put air quotes around this, traditional business, right? Ultimately, it comes down to, we all have to find new customers, retain the customers we have, and grow our business. And growing our business shows up in a bunch of different ways. But in network marketing, it means growing a team. So being able to have that growth, and especially that shows up in leadership. So, but you can do that by building relationships and creating opportunities.
Yeah.
Shocker, and full circle moment right there. So, John, again, thank you for being here. And of course, Badass Crew, if you'd like to reach out to John, maybe you're not ready to set up that 45-minute consultation, but you do want to connect with him. We do have his LinkedIn link in the show notes as well. So you can make sure you find the right John Edwards, because yes, you're not wrong. It's a very popular name. So make sure you connect with John there. So Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned, because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast, so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.